Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another 2023 Dream Class recruiting video. This time, we're going to be projecting Texas A&M's Dream Class realistically, of course, but this one should be fun considering Texas A&M's NIL capabilities. We could really put a lot of different players in this class, but I am going to try and keep it as realistic as possible, give you guys a realistic projection of a best case scenario for Texas A&M in 2023. The one thing I will say when it comes to A&M, the problem I think they're going to run into in 2023 that they weren't running into in 2022, they're going to have some legitimate competition. When you talk NIL, in 2022, I believe that Texas A&M was really the only true program to go balls to the wall with, major legit NIL operations, having boosters contact and pay kids. Now in 2023, schools like Miami, schools like Florida, schools like Tennessee, they're going to have some legitimate competition when it comes to this aggressive NIL way of recruiting that Texas A&M does. So I think the talent could get spread around a little bit more, but they will certainly still get their players. Their NIL collectives are the one thing with Texas A&M. It's so impressive. They are so professional, and they already have it wired down to basically assembly line type machine, where they bring these kids in for visits, they offer them, they say, we're going to do this benefit, done. It's so clean, it's so easy with A&M. Obviously, it is not legal what they're doing, but if the NCAA is not going to enforce it, it's going to continue to happen, and it's going to happen with more universities. So looking at their 2023 football commits right now, they do have 5 commits, and I saw their average per commit was only 91. Well, the reason for that is because they have a punter, Tyler White, who is really dragging down their average. He only has an average of 82. Other than that, though, they do have 2 top 100 cornerbacks already committed in Rodgers and Thomas. So those are 2 solid corners. And then they also have a defensive lineman who's a 4-star, along with a developmental type offensive tackle. All of these players are from the state of Texas. And when it comes to their overall, how many players they're going to sign, I would guess they're probably going to oversign again. We're going to go to, what is this class calculator? So yeah, this is where I project everything. So I'm guessing Texas A&M will probably sign more than 25, prospects. Alabama does it basically every year. A&M signed 30 last year. There's a lot of questions right now with just overall scholarship limits due to the transfer portal and due to immediate eligibility. There are a lot of people that think scholarship limits should be just completely done with and shouldn't even exist, and you should be able to cut players whenever you want. So it's a really interesting situation, but I am just going to do that, and we are going to go into this. Okay, so the top targets, David Hicks, the number 5 overall player from the state of Texas. Absolutely, we're going to add David Hicks to this dream class. David Hicks is a very interesting recruit. We don't really... it's been a very quiet recruitment. That's what I'm going to say about David Hicks. Right now, Texas A&M, they've received the only crystal balls. I heard something about David Hicks visiting Michigan State. Guys, Michigan State, I've been hearing things about Michigan State maybe doing a little bit in the NIL game. But David Hicks being from Texas, I think the NIL operatives for Texas A&M are really going to step up and get it done. A lot of big programs in on this kid. I love players like David Hicks. They're huge. They're legitimate defensive tackles. He is a beast from Texas. So I am adding him. Dante Moore. So this is a funny one. Dante Moore right now, I believe, is being courted by multiple universities, and this is going to be a situation with Dante Moore. I just think it's going to be who offers the most money. And if they all offer a similar amount of money, who offers the best benefits? Who has the best relationship with Dante Moore? I will add him to this class because Texas A&M, there's been rumors they've been in on him. They're listed as warm. There's a lot of schools that are on him. The main ones, Notre Dame, Michigan, Oregon, LSU, and A&M. I really haven't heard much about Penn State. I would be shocked if he went to Penn State, especially after Penn State signed a superstar quarterback last year. Texas A&M also did sign a 5-star quarterback last year, but he wasn't, a megastar. It wasn't like he was a top 5 overall player, so I could very easily see Dante Moore going to A&M. They've really ramped up their recruitment on him. Tony Mitchell. So this one might be a little bit of a stretch. And it's interesting with Tony Mitchell. Right now, he has a crystal ball to Florida with a confidence of an 8. So that is a high confidence for Florida University. And this was the recruit that I want to say, I think Billy Napier might be a worse liar than Jimbo. Billy Napier, 2 weeks ago or whatever it is, comes out and says that's not how we do business, meaning they're not using NIL, they're not weaponizing NIL. Billy, your team leads for the top 3 cornerbacks in the entire nation. Cormali McLean, AJ Harris, and Tony Mitchell, and you're saying you don't weaponize NIL? Come on. These coaches got to stop lying, man. It's ridiculous. But you know what? I am going to add Tony Mitchell, and this is kind of where you can have some fun. Because I think Texas A&M boosters are going to get this kid on campus. They're going to say, Tony, listen. They're going to offer him some stuff, whatever, and boom, he's a Texas A&M commit. It's that easy. This is another kid who's going to be courted, and, all of these kids that I'm adding, at least the top of the line kids, they are going to be NIL kids. That's just how Texas A&M recruits. Majority of them are. Anthony Hill is another guy I'm going to add. So Anthony Hill, very similar to David Hicks. He's a 5-star from Texas that we really haven't heard a lot about. And this kid, I have said a few different times, I do not think he's going to finish the cycle as a 5-star. It's just my personal opinion. He seems like a tweener. Like, is he a linebacker? And if he's a linebacker, he's probably a middle linebacker. Really can't cover very well. Maybe he moves down and puts his hand in the dirt and becomes a pass rusher. But is he quick enough to be an edge rusher? I don't think this kid ends up a 5-star. It's just my personal opinion. But right now, he is the number 1 linebacker in the nation, the number 16 overall player. The next guy we are going to add is Rueben Owens, who... I'm not even sure what just happened there. So the next guy we are going to add is Rueben Owens, who Texas A&M just recently got in on. He currently, oh my God, I keep doing that. I hate the new, nobody's going to add a transfer for 2023. We don't even know who's going to be in the portal, man. Why is that even an option? Rueben Owens, the 5-star running back, currently the number 1 overall running back, does have crystal balls to Texas. I believe he also has a crystal ball to Texas A&M, at least one. So this kid is another one that's probably going to be an NIL. They've identified him. They like him. But I will say, this is certainly not a lock. Like, all of these kids from the state of Texas, David Hicks, Anthony Hill, Rueben Owens, Texas A&M fans need to understand this. The University of Texas is desperate. They are moving to the SEC in a few years. They need to win now. With Quinn Ewers, they're offering Arch Manning $15 million. They are going to offer these kids serious money. In the 2023 class, they are telling their boosters, listen, we need to get some of these kids, so it would not shock me at all if Texas got a few of these kids from the state of Texas, maybe an Anthony Hill, maybe a Rueben Owens, maybe someone like that. But right now, the trend on Rueben Owens, A&M, their NIL collective got in his ear. They offered him about $3 million and said, listen, come here, we'll get you a little Ferrari. Jimbo Fisher will give you a little kiss or whatever. So I'm going to add him to the class. Trevino, the cornerback, I think right now is probably going to go to Texas. I'm not going to add him. Sampson Jr. So that's a kid this is where it gets funny. Like, I could add Shelton Sampson Jr. if I wanted to. It just depends on if he's really listening in terms of NIL. Michigan is listed as warm for this kid. What for a 5-star receiver from Louisiana? If a 5-star receiver from Louisiana goes to Michigan, I might have to stop following recruiting. Not in a bad way. Like, that would be amazing, but I'm saying there's zero chance of it happening. He is currently crystal balled, you would think. LSU does such a good job at getting in-state players to commit. So you would have to, I don't think I can add him to Texas A&M's class. But again, who knows? Maybe he wants some NIL money. Maybe Texas A&M can offer it. That's why it's so tough to project in this day and age. I will be adding Chadavian Bradley, who is a pass rusher from the state of Missouri. So I did a story on this kid. Where is he? Let me first. Oh, there he is, right there. He's right in front of me. So I'm going to be adding him. He is a 5-star right now. Can we get rid of this, please? It just glitched. It says no results. Can we stop doing this? Can we maybe not have this here? Okay, please stop. You're glitched. We're just going to leave it. So we're adding Bradley to the class. This kid is a pure NIL thing. It has them listed as Warmer along with Tennessee and South Carolina. So this kid is a recruit who we saw Tennessee take the lead for. I did a story on it. But again, when you're talking NIL, nobody does it better than Texas A&M. They could very easily say, screw it, we're throwing, we just got an oil deal. Our, boosters are now throwing you a $5 million NIL deal to come play here. So they could very easily get him. I will be adding Cook the second, the receiver from Texas, who I think is a definite Texas A&M type recruit. There he is. And he's a good player, really good receiver. Also, Malik Muhammad is another guy that Texas A&M is supposed to land. I'm not going to say he's a lock, but this is the type of kid that I would be very surprised right now. It has them and both Texas and Alabama. Texas is desperate, man. They are desperate. They need talent. But I am adding Muhammad. They've been in on him for a while. They've been the favorites for a while, so Cook and Muhammad, both fringe 5-stars. They're just below the 5-star range, but they very easily could end up 5 stars. Cedric Baxter Jr., I'm going to say he's either going to Miami or Florida. Those two teams are huge right now with NIL in 2023. Hakeem Williams is another guy Texas A&M currently leads for. I've got to add him, especially if we're doing a dream class, the receiver. Very unfortunate situation with what happened to Hakeem Williams. We recently had the last update, and he got crushed when it comes to his ranking. He was actually ranked a 5-star. Now he's down to number 48th overall. They incorporated the On3 rankings into the composite, and it crushed him. Also, there's another update coming out with Rivals. Rivals is updating their 2023 class this coming week. So I'll probably be doing a video on that, just reacting to the updates. It looks like everyone's updating it because it's the summer, I guess. I don't know. But the next guy we will be adding is Chase Bacentis, who is a offensive tackle. Now, kind of a funny story with this kid. Originally, Ohio State was in on him before, and then it becomes very apparent quickly he wants NIL money, and you take a look at the teams: Michigan State, Rutgers. I think Rutgers, because they're the home state school from New Jersey, he's throwing them a bone. A&M, Georgia, and LSU. This kid's very strictly NIL. So if you give him the best NIL deal, you have a good relationship with him, you're going to get him. Texas A&M is the best at doing that. So he is a good offensive tackle. When Ohio State was recruiting him, there was some talk that he was going to be a guard. So, I guess we'll see how his recruitment develops, but he is currently the number 7 overall offensive tackle. This is an elite player. This would be a really good get for Texas A&M. And then we've got an athlete here, Dalton Brooks, who I am not familiar with his recruitment at all, but I am seeing that Texas A&M has the crystal ball advantage, so I'm going to add him as well because it is a dream class and he is a top 100 player. Sewell, who is currently listed as Warm, another kid from Texas. Boy, there are so many. Harris Sewell, will add him as well. Get them some nice beef, a nice interior guy, top 100 guy. It looks like it's a battle between Clemson and Alabama. That's the type of kid I could see Clemson landing, honestly, this Sewell kid. But I am going to give him to Texas A&M. Excuse me there. Will Norman, I don't think they're getting Will Norman. TJ Shanahan, another interior offensive lineman. We might add them. I'm just trying to see what other guys Texas A&M is in on. Jackson, we'll go ahead and add. Well, I'm just going to start adding kind of guys down the list. All right, I actually added a few players now. When it comes to Texas A&M's actual class, they're probably going to end up signing at least, I'd say 27, 28, 29 guys. But I only have 22 commits just because it's still early in terms of the recruiting cycle. It's kind of tough to project 28, 29, 30 guys at this point. So right now we're going with 22 commits. I expect them to sign at least 5 or 6 more. 323 score, which would be lower than their score last year, which was 330. But I mean, for 22 commits, they had 30 commits last year. So for 22 commits, 323 is ridiculous. You take a look at the overall class. You've got defensive line Hall, David Hicks, Peter Woods is another 5-star I decided to add. That one might be a little bit unrealistic, but again, with Texas A&M and due to their NIL, capabilities, you can really add almost anyone you want, at least anyone that's been rumored to be in NIL, like Dante Moore, Ruben Owens, Bradley. So there are a lot of guys in this class. This is a very elite class. I would say right now, how many of these players are top 100? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's like, I would say 16 out of the 22 commits right now would be in the top 100. I believe that's what it shakes out to. So, Texas A&M is going to sign very likely a top 3 or top 4 class if the NIL rules are not enforced by the NCAA. And, you're looking at a class like this with Texas A&M, I think whether this class is a success or failure, it's going to come down to how elite of a quarterback do you get. Do you get a Dante Moore, or do you have to settle for a 4-star? That's going to be one of the craziest recruiting battles, whether or not they're able to land him. Tony Mitchell, it's a bit of a stretch, but again, it's strictly NIL. I mean, right now, he's been crystal balled to Florida, and that's all through NIL, projections and offers and things like that. I think safely you can say they lead for David Hicks, they lead for Anthony Hill, they lead for Cook, they lead for Muhammad, they lead for Williams, they lead for Brooks. Safely right now, those are the guys they lead for. Owens, it's 50-50. You could say they're kind of trending for him, but you've also got Texas right there. Mitchell is NIL. Dante Moore is NIL. Peter Woods is kind of just someone, I mean, who knows? I just threw him in there, honestly, because it's Texas A&M. They just randomly get guys. Bradley is NIL. And then, but Basentes is NIL as well. So there are a lot of NIL guys. And then Sewell is just an in-state interior offensive lineman I decided to add. But again, for Texas A&M, it might be a little bit tougher because last year they had such an advantage on every other school in terms of the way they weaponized NIL. This year, you're going to see teams like Texas, especially Texas. It's going to be very interesting to see the recruiting battles between A&M and Texas. We're talking about like Texas versus Texas A&M battles, in-state battles, David Hicks, Anthony Hill, Ruben Owens. It's so fascinating to see those type of things play out because a lot of these other schools are going to really up their NIL game. And because Texas A&M went balls to the wall in 2022 and didn't get penalized for it, there are going to be programs that are going to look at that and say, we can now go balls to the wall. Miami is another one. But when it comes to these dream classes, guys, I think I'm going to do maybe just a few of them on the weekends like I did Ohio State yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Texas A&M's a lot of fun, obviously. And other programs like Miami, I really like Miami due to their NIL thing. I could see them getting 4 or 5 stars. I'll do a dream class on them. I'll do a dream class probably on Texas, but it'd be pretty tough with Texas. I mean, I'd give Texas Ruben Owens too. But right now, it's just a lot of these recruitments are NIL-based. This is just a strict outline on maybe some of the top players the programs are looking at. And again, once again, I would guess Texas A&M would sign possibly, 28, 29 recruits. They're just going to keep over-signing. Alabama does it every year as well, where they will sign over the allotted 25 because of portal. And really, it's very interesting to see what programs like Alabama are doing now with the lower-ranked guys, like a 3-star, where they're really expediting the process and they're telling these guys, listen, you're not going to play here. Go to the transfer portal, a.k.a. you're wasting a scholarship for us. There was a 2022 offensive tackle for Alabama that was a 3-star that transferred from the 2020, hit the transfer portal this offseason from the 2022 class. They probably got to look at him in practice and said he's just not good enough. They sat him down. They said, you're not going to play here. You need to transfer if you want to play, because they want that scholarship. So the scholarships are crazy. They're just going to have kids keep transferring out so they can constantly sign 28, 29, 30 guys per class. That's what's going to happen. And the kids now will agree to transfer because there's no sitting out a year. It's immediate eligibility, and you tell kids, do you want to play? If you want to play, you're not going to play here. You need a transfer, and you can play immediately next year and start immediately next year at another Power 5 school or Group of 5 school or whatever. So that's why these teams are going to constantly sign 28, 29, 30 guys every single year, because the transfer portal, because there's so much roster turnover every single year with the portal and with the immediate eligibility situation. But guys, this was just a prediction, fun dream class video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.